Now Siderman coming home looking for his first victory of the campaign.
Happens off the racing line.
Welcome to Off the Racing Line. Mike, 1 year. We have survived this 1 year. Can you believe it?
Happy freaking birthday, Off the Racing Line. Where's our cake? Presents?
No cake this time.
No
but
cake,
maybe
no
for like episode 50, we'll do a cake and a whole celebration. But we do have a very special episode. Very, very special. So this is worthy of our 1 year anniversary celebration. Our guest is a 22-year-old pro driver, former collegiate Division I football wide receiver who made the jump to motorsports and in just 3 years is now racing a Lamborghini in the Super Trofeo series with IMSA. He's already racked up wins in podium finishes at iconic tracks like Indy, Laguna Seca, and Watkins Glen, and was promoted mid-event to the pro class after winning his first M class race, something you just don't see. Flying in from California, I think this might be the farthest that anybody has flown in to come visit us.
It must be our birthday.
Yes, Mateo Siderman, welcome to the show, man.
What's up, guys?
Welcome.
Thank you for
Good to
having me.
see
It's
you.
a pleasure to be on.
How was the flight?
It was a long one. It's always slower going and then you are leaving. But no, one quick little fact change there. I got kicked out of AM after my third win in a row. So
Very nice.
So it wasn't promotion; it was kicked out.
yeah, they said you're not allowed to finish the year in AM. I was like, all right.
This guy's too fast. He's beating on all the other poor amateurs. So we
Okay, so that
need
was
to make it a
actually one
fair
of my
fight.
questions. Like, how do you get promoted? So
Yeah.
I guess it's you get kicked out.
There you
Yeah,
go.
with Super Trofeo especially, you are in the beginning of the year you're allowed to choose your homologation, and then at Sebring they want to really get that Pro-Am, LB Cup figured out, so that through the middle of the year you don't have to get dropped or pushed up, because it would reset your championship points, and that would be the end of your championship run. But it was after Indy, and by that time I had been locked out of the top three, so the rest of the year was kind of just me taking the wins away from the M class.
Yeah, you're making everybody look bad.
Well, I think I'm making myself look good, right? But
There you go.
yeah,
Great spin.
yeah. But yeah, the World Finals was my first real pro race, and other than my Miata races, but I feel like those were the same style of racing. Just one was in Italy and one was in Buttonwillow, so bit of a difference there.
I want to get to that. Talk about racing in Italy for the first time. Like
Yeah.
that had to be crazy.
Unbelievable.
So we'll get to that. First, I want to dive into the jump from football to racing. You were a Division I football wide receiver. Let's start there. Which school did you play for?
I played for. I practiced for Tarleton State University.
Okay.
I was given an opportunity after high school to join the football team, and they helped with the school. So, it was kind of obvious, save money and go play a sport. Stayed in shape and, went to all the practices, tried my best. And after the second season, I was starting to get some playing time in the spring game, in the spring camp. But we are like a week away from the spring game, and I'm going in with like the twos, which is real good. I've only been a scout team guy. So I'm going in, and it was awesome. And then they give me a play that was kind of focused for me to get the ball. And I ran a solid route. I got open. But then the quarterback threw the ball a little bit low, and I dove for it because I'm like, I'm not letting this thing just hit the ground.
Right.
Dove for it, and my hand kind of went into the ground before anything else. And then these two fingers went all the way through my hand, shattered everything. And it was 6 months out of the sport and 2 surgeries.
Really?
Yep. So, I think at the start of it, the team was like totally fine with it, because the initial prognosis, or whatever the doctor term for that is they said it was just a spiral fracture, so it would be like heals by itself. But then my fingers just kept disappearing like day by day, and I was like, this can't be right. Then we go back, and then the initial scan was like this, and then they had me scan like all different ways the other time, and they said, oh man, we got to get you into surgery tomorrow. So then we did the first surgery. It went well, and the second one was just to kind of take everything out and get the permanent screws in.
Yikes. Okay, so it was sort of a mandatory move then.
Yeah.
From football to racing.
There was an opportunity to go walk on at UNLV, and that's actually why I'm there now. I walked on, And after the first practice, I was like, man, I no longer belong in this sport. Like, it's either I've been out too long, or I hadn't been doing enough PT or keeping my body right while my hand was fixing itself. But it was not the sport that I fell in love with. And by that time, I'd already been, I did my first race. I've been driving for, I don't know, maybe like 4 years on track at that time. So, I'd already fell in love with driving, and it was kind of just the two sports fighting at each other the whole time. And for my first year in Boxsters, I was actually going to going to school because I had practice scheduled, but I quit the team after the first practice.
Yeah.
So I was going to school in UNLV and then missing half of my classes to go race with the Boxster, and driving back and then missing the classes. I mean, I ended up with C's, which is good enough to pass, but now I have to do another extra, I think, 3 classes just to make up for the points difference, I guess.
So you were on the football team, on the practice squad, and also racing.
For like a day, I was on the practice squad. But like the Shane Gillis clip where he was in the Army for a day, I was still on the UNLV team for a day. So I was technically a part of the team.
And you answered the question, what's more dangerous, playing football or racing?
I think playing football.
Clearly.
Right? Like, you don't have a cage around.
You guys are stealing all my questions.
Sorry.
never been sidelined for 6 months from getting into an accident on track.
Hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And I think the upgrades
We've
in
had
safety,
some guests that have been sidelined.
Oh, well, yes. Present
some
company
time.
excluded. Right.
the upgrade in safety that we've seen in racing, though, in the past, I don't know, 10 years, has been astronomical. We haven't seen a real injury from racing, like on a road course, that's been anything serious. There's going to be the incident where, hey, brakes didn't work. The car just went straight into a wall at maximum speed, and you'll see a concussion or maybe a broken leg or a broken rib. But at the end of the day, that guy walks out of there. There's no situations where you're flying through the boot at Watkins Glen and there's no bus stop and then brakes give up. Like, that doesn't happen anymore because of the track evolution and because of the car evolution.
Sure.
Let's
Let's stay on football just for a few minutes. What is that mental crossover from football to racing?
I mean, I think that it allows you to really test yourself, because football is a lot of trying harder to do better, when racing is more in the sense of golf, where if you try harder, you end up doing way worse.
True.
Right? Like, I really got to hit this apex, you're going to miss the whole track. Like, it's a huge shift from, working every day to just push to work every day to, kind of make your mind and body one, and make the hand-eye coordination feel like your hands and your eyes are just connected, right? Like, there is that same type of hand-eye in football where I got to catch this ball with my eyes, but at the end of the day, the feel that you have to have with the car and the reaction time you have to have from just the littlest feeling, or even on the sim, the littlest hear, the littlest sound cue, you have to be ready to just completely fix everything in a second. So it's a lot of just trying to stay cool, where football was, the more you freak out, kind of the better you do, right? Like, if I lose my mind, I'm going to go get a viral clip killing somebody, which is great. But, hip maneuver somebody.
I'm curious about something. One of the things we talked about in a couple episodes here, when you're out there on the track racing or just doing track days, we talked about all your senses are heightened, right?
Yeah.
Not just, your vision, but your sense of smell, your hearing, like touch, everything. Is that not the case in football? Is it more just brute force?
When you work out and your heart feels like it's everywhere, that's what football feels like. It's just the whole body has like a full. I mean, the only football I ever played was being like the guy as a kid, the guy in like middle school, the guy in high school, and then I get to college, I'm like just some guy. Yeah. So it was a quick shift, and like I think that's kind of what.
So you went from being really talented.
I mean, I never got untalented, but it's just I got from the small pond to welcome to the ocean.
The pool got really
big.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have a lot of confidence in my skill on the field, but at the same time, it's not
as much as everybody else.
Exactly. Like, I can route up the average Joe, but man, if a real Joe comes up to me, I might have a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not the case anymore in racing, though.
Well, that's what I've been dedicating the entire free time of my life to for the past, I want to say 3 years now. Like, it's the experience I had at UNLV was great because I was able to learn how to, race on the weekend while at the same time do homework in between data and do the test right before the race. So it's a lot of kind of multitasking, and keeping focus on what's really important. And racing was very important at that time, but it was more of a extremely expensive hobby and not something I was able to pursue. But because I think that I went through the I don't want to say struggle of multitasking with school and racing and kind of living in a different state, that's, to me, it's all a blessing, right? It's all new opportunities, new experiences, and because I did all that, it made me better today in at work and in the car, which are now turning into the same thing.
Yeah. All right. So let's dive into how you got started in motorsports. You and I had a conversation before you coming on the show, and you told me how you basically started in HPD doing track days and things like that, and you started catching people's attention because you were quick.
I mean, it felt like I wasn't really faster than anybody when I first started, and even when I was, getting good. I have to make sure the camera saw the quotes.
Yeah.
I mean, it never felt like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm way faster than this guy. It was like, oh, I just know what to do here when he just doesn't know what to do here. And it wasn't really like I'm attracting a ton of people. It was I was at the track for most of COVID, so I was able to, consistently do what I wanted to do, which was go faster than the people that didn't know what was going on. And that in turn led to the right guy being at the track at the right time, seeing that, hey, this guy in a Mini Cooper is not half bad. Then that's how I met my first ever racing coach, Michael Johnson. He was a Porsche Experience Center coach for 15 years, I think.
Right.
Very, very experienced coach and driver. Been driving his whole life. And he, at the track day, invited me to jump into his car. And he was like, hey, why don't you show me around a little bit? And I was like, man, I'm not a coach. I just help set up. And I give the morning briefing sometimes whenever Kalo's busy. We got to talk about Kalo. He's great. He's, honestly, I think of all the people in my life of racing and all the village that made this happen, nothing would have happened without Kalo. My parents put us on track during COVID. That was, again, without that, nothing ever happens. But because
so who is Kalo?
He is the guy that lives on track at Willow Springs.
Okay.
If you're from Westlake or if you're from Los Angeles area, if you've ever been to Willow Springs, you know the guy that looks like a Viking and has that giant white warehouse on track.
Do you have any pictures with you and him?
I do. Oh, phone's away.
It's okay. You can send it to me.
You're right. This is all getting clipped.
We'll put it
Let's
up.
go.
We'll add it
It's
in
all getting
post.
recorded.
So he looks like a Viking.
He's the best, man. He looks just like my brother. He thinks that he's actually my dad. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I love my dad.
So he was like a big push for you.
Exactly. He let me drive all of his cars. He has everything from a Spec Miata all the way up to a Formula 4 car, and we drove everything.
Right.
It was, I mean, nothing was. He didn't have to give us a single ride in anything, and he was like, "Hey, come sleep over." He was just the nicest guy.
Do you think he saw something in you, like talent? He maybe saw raw talent, and he thought maybe we can develop this kid as a driver?
I don't know, because I think that my dad and my brother were both faster than me when we first got there.
Oh, really?
I was getting there in a Mini Cooper. They were driving a Porsche and a Corvette.
Yeah, but you could still haul the mail in a Mini Cooper.
Sure. But I don't know. That's a good question. I'm going to ask him that.
Yeah, something to think about.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize, I think I'm pretty fast. I think I'm pretty good at this?
So it was honestly, it was the second race of the first weekend. The first race I ever did was with my dad. And that weekend we had two races. It was an 8-hour and then a 7-hour. ChampCar is great. ChampCar.
Okay.
gives
Your
you all
first
the
race
track
was
time.
in ChampCar?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They give you all the track time you want. You get to do almost anything you want except pit maneuver a guy. There are no
That's
rules.
refreshing.
It's great.
That you're not allowed to pit
If
maneuver
you guys
a guy.
scroll super far down on my TikTok, you'll see some awesome videos of a shark being a car and then running right into me.
Now, we've had a few drivers that have
It's amazing.
raced in ChampCar.
It is the coolest sport, or the coolest series in the sport. I love it. It is.
And you raced with open throttle.
the whole time.
Okay.
I mean, There was, my first ever podium was with a team called Rockwell. They were also in ChampCar. They're mainly a ChampCar team. They now run ChampCar WRL sometimes, but they have an IMSA car. They have a VP Challenge car, which is a TCR car. I think that's kind of their main focus now. I haven't seen them much in ChampCar and WRL since, but I mean, they're all over the place and they're doing really well. So, it's really cool to see that team progress. But honestly, nothing has been more impressive than the open throttle progression, in my opinion. Like I got there in 2023 in like December, so like right at the end of it, and the fastest car was a E46 M3 that was like a great car, but at the same time, they're like leagues ahead of where they were 2 years ago. And the progression is they went from 4 cars to 5 cars to like now they're at like 4 different tracks at the same time.
Yeah, that's
like,
crazy.
It's super impressive.
I remember seeing one of their Kermit green cars down at Homestead, and I walked up to it and I was like, oh, this is an open throttle car. I'm like, where's Mike? Where's Mike Gorman? And I'm like, oh, he's VIR or something.
Yep.
I was like, oh man, so yeah, I can.
He's
see
all
that.
over the place.
So Mike Gorman is actually going to be a guest on the program,
That's
so we're looking forward to that.
Yep.
Let me ask you, because we've had a few guests that have raced with Mike Gorman's team Open Throttle and ChampCar. I always see them in the forefront, either winning, podium, like something, class win. What do you think they're doing right?
They will always get that car back on track, and regardless of what happens. The only exception is my first race with them. My dad gets into the car. I go to lunch with my mom, grandpa, brother, sister, whole fam, right? I could tell this story. He's going to laugh about this.
Mike?
No, my dad.
Oh.
I order a burger, and I get a phone call from Michael Johnson, and the first thing he says is, "Don't freak out. You have all the time in the world for lunch now." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Your dad brought the car back in, and there is no more transmission." And I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "He shifted from 4th to 3rd coming out of turn 17." And so thankfully he was right next to the pit lane, so he just blew it up and then went right into the pit lane, and then came in and that was the end of our race. So that is the only situation where that car won't come back, because it's if the race is too far gone, like if you're 3 hours into a 7-hour race and you blow it up, it's going to take 4 hours to fix a car.
Yeah.
It won't be done by the time they're ready to put it on track. By the time the race is over.
But it'll be ready to go for the second race.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or they'll have a backup car for you. So there will be, the seat time you buy will always be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And it's a great business that, you don't really see scaled. And you kind of just see them, those rent a seat places, stay where they are, or, get a giant investment and then move up to a bigger series. But Mike has done this the perfect way. He's staying at the original series while expanding into the bigger series, getting faster
WRL.
cars. Exactly.
Right.
Like he's currently leading the East Coast Championship in GP1.
Really?
3rd place in the National Championship in GP1, and I don't know where the GP2 car is, but like, dude, the GP1 car's on fire.
Yeah.
It's so fast.
This is what I like about Mike, and I don't want to turn this whole episode into
Open throttle episode.
a Mike Gorman
I
segment.
wouldn't hate that.
Well, because he's coming in, so we're going to talk about it anyway. But
Right.
he was always big in the BMW community, because that's primarily what they were running, with the E92. And I would always see him chime in when somebody had a question, like on the Facebook groups and things like that. So he's just a very likable guy. I remember meeting him for the first time in Daytona. I walked up to him, and I have a E92 M3 as well, so we were chatting about that. Just super nice guy, completely down to earth.
Yep.
It's funny, we've never really talked about money shifts on the program, and I had a I was gonna say a client. I had a student money shift at Sebring going into turn 17.
Very bumpy and confusing there.
4th to 1st, okay?
Ooh.
Like,
That didn't end well.
the sound of that transmission in that M2 comp
Right.
that it made, it hurt my feelings. Like, it hurt my soul.
Think
Like,
about how the car
when I
felt.
heard it, like, what? You know, I was like, wow.
That's done.
Yeah, it sucks.
He's actually a good friend of mine, so I'm not gonna mention his name.
Well, I'm a good friend of my dad's, I hope.
Right.
But no, speaking of which, they have completely shifted to only dual clutch transmissions now. Because of,
Smart.
I think that happened maybe twice after, to where they're like, hey, this is a problem.
Yes.
But they immediately went, boom, now everybody can drive the car as long as you have 2 feet. 1 foot.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
It's super easy to drive. The GP2 cars, I mean, I'm speaking from mostly my recent WRL experience with them. They're bricks, man. Like, they are, not in a bad way. Like,
Right.
a brick as in, if you hit it, something's going to fall
Indestructible.
off, but
Right.
nothing's going to move, right? Like, nothing's going to break in there. And, like, we saw a kind of a scary incident at Barber this year. GP2 kind of battle, and one person kind of forgot where the end of the track was, and they pushed our car into the grass. But at the same time, that car that was pushing us spun before our car even put 4 wheels in the grass. And so that car was the only thing that got damaged, while we got like a scratch on the left front. So, I mean, they're the safest car in my opinion, the easiest to save if things go a little squirrely.
Yeah.
And they're fast. You know, like as long as you get to keep this thing under the limit, it's going to go quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Impressive stuff.
Very easy car to drive.
Want to drive on a real racetrack but don't have a car? Velocity Track Experience offers track-ready car rentals for HPDE and racing. Whether you're flying in from out of state, out of the country, or you want full track support without worrying about prep, maintenance, or transport, this is your arrive and drive solution. From an agile Mazda MX-5 to a fully prepped BMW race car, Velocity provides everything you need to hit the track with confidence, including expert support and optional coaching. Just book your favorite track car, show up, and drive. Go to velocitytrackexperience.com and start your track adventure today.
All right, let's jump over to the Lamborghini Super Trofeo series.
Oh, yeah.
It's a supporting series for IMSA. You now race with TR3 Racing. Let's dive into that. You've raced with many different series. What do you like about the Lamborghini Super Trofeo series?
So originally our kind of idea for Super Trofeo was, let's use it as a platform to kind of, boost us into the world of pro drivers. And it was in 2024, it looked like a relatively easy series to jump into the AM class and go, hey, we can compete here. In 2025, we jumped into the car and we're like, hey, whoa, this is very competitive. This is just Miatas, but 10 times more expensive and way faster.
Right.
Like,
You're comparing a Lamborghini to a Miata.
well, the racing style, yes. Like,
oh, really?
Oh my gosh. When I first jumped into the Miata, I was actually way better than I was in the Lambo. Like, my first race in a Miata, actually, I freaking won.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Your first race.
First ever race in a Miata. Go to Laguna Seca. It wasn't the Cal Club. It was the SFRS region.
Okay.
So San Francisco region. Rented a car from Peter Fung. Great cars. Check out Peter Fung. He's got a Miata. He's got a Boxster. No, he's got a BMW E92 now, an E46. Anything kind of SCCA ready, he's your guy.
Right.
Oh, well, that's in California. So for the Florida listeners,
It's okay. We actually have our Florida listeners only make up like 30%
great.
of the listeners.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first race I ever did, I was no coach, no ever experience in the car. Did some practice with the car that weekend. I ended up, I think, like 17th in practice. And then qualifying, I got up to 10th. And then in race 1, literally, we were just playing bumper cars. Like, I'm in the inside coming down turn 2 at Laguna, and everyone around me just starts disappearing. Like, you guys remember the 2025 Daytona race of the Miatas?
We've shared that clip frequently.
clip
and
Okay.
We had multiple drivers that were involved in that.
Yeah, so that clip, imagine that down turn 2 at Laguna. Like, just everybody disappeared.
This is in the Miata.
In the Miata.
Okay.
And, like, it wasn't like someone just bumped someone wrong going too fast. It was like just everyone missed the braking zone. And, like, it felt like it was everyone's first ever race. It was nuts. And so I went quickly from 10th to 3rd. Literally just the competition disappeared. And I was, kind of staying with P1 and 2 for a little bit. But after, like, I think 3 laps, they just started disappearing. Yeah. And so for the remainder of that race, I was like, man, not a bad, not a bad start. 3rd place, right? First ever race here. Not bad. And then, 5 more laps later, we get the checkered flag. I come in. Whole family was there. Everyone was freaking out. Team owner was there. He just got out of the car too. He's like, "How did you do that?" And I was like, I just didn't get hit. And he was like, "You won." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "The leader and the guy following, they hit each other." And I ended up talking to the guy that was leading the race. And he said the car behind took him on the inside going to the corkscrew. And then on his entry to turn 9, the wheel came off.
The steering wheel.
Oof, yeah.
No.
And so I guess he bumped him, and I think they were, at turn 10 where it turns right, but then there's that escape route to the left.
Mm-hmm.
I assume they went down that way because I didn't
never
see
saw
anybody
him.
on track. Exactly. So, somehow he must have slowed down enough to figure something out. But yeah, Miata's wheels fall off if you're in a 1999 Spec Miata.
Yeah, imagine that. Well, here's another topic we haven't actually covered on the show, and that's the driver classification, the FIA driver classification. So I know in the Super Trofeo you have the Pro,
Yep.
the Pro Am, and then the Am, and then the LB Cup.
Yep.
So let's talk about that just real quick
Yeah.
because we've never covered it. So explain to me the driver classifications. I know that the Pro is silver and gold.
Yeah, so anything in Super Trofeo above bronze is technically pro. So there's a derogation list, and FIA sees more of age than experience. So,
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. So last year...
So I can go in there as a pro because I'm old.
No, that means you can go in there as an AM.
Oh, okay. It's the other way.
Exactly.
Got it.
So
okay.
because my teammate right now, Martine, is I think 40-something, maybe
Wait,
30.
so because of your age, they would look at you like, this guy's probably a pro?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
So that's why they were so quick to move me up. They were like, yeah, winning 3 in a row is not great to stay in AM.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they said, you're not allowed in our AM World Finals. So that was what kicked me out. Not not the U.S. rounds. Those were no problem, do whatever. You're out of the championship. But the World Finals, they were like, no. And I was like, I've done 4 Miata races. I wouldn't show them the whole list.
Yeah.
But they're like, it doesn't matter. You're 21. You were able to go from last place in the championship to 4th in 3 weeks. So, no thanks.
They cut on to you.
Yeah. And it was nice to have Eric Skermantz, the motorsports director for North America. He came up to me when they made the decision. He was like, hey, if we had a Rookie of the Year award, you would have it. No question. But we don't. And now you're a pro. Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations.
I was like, what do you mean? He said, congrats, dude.
Yeah.
So he
No
said, post it on your
trophy,
story. Nope.
no-
A high five.
Yeah.
That was nice. Yep.
There you go. Right.
Heartfelt high five.
All right. So we had a semi-viral clip. We had Charles Espinal. We asked him the question if some racing series
Right.
are rich people cosplaying as racers, and there was a very, very vivid conversation within the comments section. So I'm gonna pose that question to
100%.
you. Do you think some racing organizations are rich people cosplaying?
So I think that the real guts and the heart of racing right now is in the grassroots series, like
Yes.
ChampCar,
Thank you.
like Miatas, like Spec Miatas, like the people that are able to climb that ladder, the one that exists, are the people that are going to be the best in the car, and they're going to be the people that you want to see racing each other. So the Hoosier Tour right now, unbelievably competitive, amazing. The Spec MX-5 and IMSA, unbelievably amazing. That's only people earning their seat. And if you're not kind of earning your seat, you're far back there, right? And it's very easy to see the difference in kind of who earned it and who didn't. But I think that there's different ideas for different series, right? So there's HSR where it's literally not competitive. You're not supposed to be trying to, if there's contact, big issue,
Right.
big issue.
Right.
There's time attack series where there's literally no other cars on track, so it's just having fun. But then there's also time attack series where it's like, hey, no one's on track, but you can win $100,000. So,
Oh, really?
what's it called?
What series is
Global
that?
Time
I was
Attack?
gonna say, we need to get involved there.
Isn't there a Global Time
Oh,
Attack?
sign up for that.
I don't know if it's 100. That might have to get cleared out.
Is it Grid Life?
It might be Grid Life, but
I didn't know they were giving that much.
there's something that I've seen. It might be Grid Life. But yeah, there's 100%. There's competition at every level.
Yeah.
And there's an HSR series of where they're going to go out and bang, and like hopefully win. And that's the what's the Laguna Seca race that we see every year with we just had Jeff Gordon in it. What's his name? The Tony Stewart. It was at Laguna with like all the Trans Am cars.
Oh, right.
What was that one called?
Oh, it used to be very popular.
It's
I haven't
super
seen
popular.
it.
IROC.
Yes, IROC.
IROC.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
They used to run. Hey,
Dude.
That's the thing now. Again,
They
I was gonna
take
say
out
again,
their
right? Because
personal cars.
that's going way back to like
Yeah.
the
They're-
1980s.
wait,
Yeah.
personal
with,
cars.
with the
They
IROC.
own these cars. So it's either Hendrick Motorsports owning the car and being like, hey, Jeff, have a great day.
Really?
Or it's like some dude had this parked in his garage for like the past 20 years, called his team up, was like, hey, can we make it go? And they made it go.
I'm making a
And then-
comeback in my
Dude,
IROC.
nice.
That's
I don't think you can
fantastic.
ever take the race out of those NASCAR drivers. Like they're always going to have that
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of, especially from the old days of the Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon kind of rivalry.
yeah.
Those guys got it for life. Like they're going to be driving just like that anytime they're in a race car. And hopefully not on the highway, but like
I mean, think about it.
I'm only-
I mean,
you know?
if that's the life that you lived, you know, for so long and competing at such a high level, like you can't just
Can't
hang up the gloves and be like,
Correct.
okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go to knitting now. You know, it just
doesn't work.
doesn't happen.
No, there's always going to be that
That's the first
fire.
thing I thought of.
That was actually great. You should do that.
Right.
Keep that. Yeah.
All right, listen, let's talk about the cost of racing. You are not in a cheap series
No, I'm
at all. You shared with me when we were talking on the phone, your first season cost nearly $1 million without, it was around 750, and that was without crash damage. That is
How's that streak going, by the way?
I mean, it was going great.
Was
Then we went to
was.
Sebring and qualified. Oh my gosh.
Sebring has a way of doing that.
Oh,
yeah.
what a mistake. But I mean, there's great things to learn from, especially from mistakes. You don't really learn from the victories, you learn from the failures. And I think that there was a lot to learn from that Sebring weekend. And it was really tough to be first weekend in the pro, like officially in the pro series, and to bin the car in qualifying. That sucked. That was a shot to the heart. And I get out of the car, and my teammate, who's the AM driver, who's trusting me to be keeping up with the pros, like Danny
Right.
Formal, is like,
Right.
"You okay?" Like,
Yeah. I could have done that.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
my job.
Yeah, like I'm supposed to be the one keeping it perfect, and
Yeah.
it sucked, to come back and be like, "This is what I did. I didn't
Yeah,
even set a
man.
lap time." So I went into my car, listened to "It's Been a While" by I think it's Stain. I don't know, but his song's like, "Yeah, been a while."
Yeah.
Listen to that on full blast. Sung my heart out.
Help you calm you down a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit?
and right after that, it was like, man, we're at a racetrack. We're driving the thing we want to drive. We're in the seat we want to be in. We're with the team we want to be with. We're with the teammate we want to be with. As long as we kind of keep our heads down, go act like it's practice out there. Like I was doing great in practice. Oh my goodness. I don't want to talk about I did, whatever, but there was for sure a missed opportunity in qualifying.
Yeah.
And I think that we made up for a little bit of that mistake in the races, but that was mostly on Martin being consistent. Being able to find the ability to reach down and get all these skills that he hadn't used in a while, and experiment on the track in a race. So it was really impressive to see him kind of go from the back of the pack in race 2, but even more impressive to see him just hold position in race 1. I got us to, I think it was 3rd overall, but we did our pit stop, and then right after the pit stop, he gets into the car, and I mean there was a little bit of a gap to the guy behind us, but I mean they put in their pro driver 2nd, so that's a little bit of the strategy thing that we're not really going to get into, hopefully, in this year. Like I want it to be just up front. This is who's going. Everybody knows who's going first. We're not playing any tricks. Like I want us to be able to beat people with pace and racecraft, not with like a great strategy.
Right,
Like
right.
a great strategy is awesome, and you need that for endurance racing. You need that even for sprint racing. But
You guys
Yeah,
still
yeah.
finished like 4th or 5th, right?
we finished 4th both days.
Yeah, 4th.
So it was
So what felt better, going from last to 4th in that race,
Mm-hmm.
or winning in the Miata when you didn't even realize that you won?
okay. So that's a great question.
It is.
Because I got out of the car in the first race, and we were 3rd overall, 2nd in class, and I was like, dude, what did I just do? Like I've never even thought about doing that in a real car. Like yeah, sure, I've been on the sim and I started in the back in one race, but that was like one of my first races, and like I found my way to the front. But like doing it in a real car in a freaking Lamborghini on national television,
Yeah.
Like the feeling I had was nuts. Like, and up until we finished the second day of racing and kind of the hey, great job coming back from the back wore off. Felt great, but once it wore off, it was like, damn.
If only I wouldn't have.
What a fuck up in qualifying.
Right,
See, I get to say that afterward.
Yeah. When I was doing some research on, what you've done, especially at Sebring, I remember I was just kind of scrolling and I saw the starting lineup and I was like, okay, like page 1, page 2,
Yep.
page 3, and like
Where's
you were like
Mateo?
31st, somewhere around 39th. I know it was in the 30th.
Yep.
In the 30s. And I was like, oh, okay. He started way back there. And I fast
Maybe we
forward,
don't want to have him on the show after all. Right? This is very impressive.
and I fast forward and it was like 4 or 3 or something like that. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, it was.
That's impressive.
If only I was able to qualify relatively sane, we would have been like fighting for the win.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I mean, that's the reward you get for trying too hard in lap 1.
Where did it all go wrong? You said it was your out lap.
Out lap. So it wasn't like the Oscar Piastri type crash. It was on the first timed lap,
First
which
flying
is
lap.
technically not your push lap. But man, it all felt so good.
Yeah, you're just getting the tires up to temp.
Exactly. But like, man, it was perfectly cool outside. The
Yeah.
track was literally just run on by I think it was Mustang Challenge was just done with their second race.
Right.
That means track conditions are perfect. They're on Michelin's. So it was like I really felt good going out of turn 17. And like I've never seen such a perfect gap in front and behind me while in the Super Trofeo qualifying. And yeah, I think I just got a little bit too excited and made a mistake. And that's the thing about being a pro driver. It's not about being able to be the fastest immediately every time. It's about, sticking to your script, trusting your judgment and not making any mistakes.
Right.
That's the most important thing, is just making no mistakes.
How much does one of those Evo 2 cost?
So if you want to buy one right now, it's actually on a little bit of a discount since they're switching to the Temerario Super Trofeo next year.
Uh-huh.
So if you want to make an ultimate WRL car, listen here, it's about like 110 to 120 right now.
Really?
For a used race car.
We should go halfsies.
I thought, but they're still worth like $350, right?
So, I mean, if you want one to race right now, it'll probably be like $600 to get it ready.
Right.
But if you just get a body of like an Evo 1 or an Evo 2 that's kind of like mileage out or kilometered out, you can get that thing for a relative steal in racing. It's one of the most applicable cars to anything because it has so much power already. You just need to detune it, and then it's going to live forever.
At what point did you realize this isn't just racing? This is a business.
Yeah, so I mean, after Sebring in 2025 with the Lambo, we sucked. Like I started race 1, and it was me and MJ at the time, and qualified not great. Was running like 7th in the AM class, and then we had a mechanical that caused the end of our race in race 1, so we DNF'd in race 1. Race 2, my teammate started the race, and then I get in the car, and we finished like 9th. Like it was not good. 9th in AM. So that's like, I don't know, 30th overall. Not great. And so, we get the bill, and it's like, man, this is what we just did. Like we have to find this much money every weekend
To go out and suck again?
Exactly. So, immediately it was like the dealership started asking questions, and there was a little bit of internal disputing. But after,
Well, what kind of questions were they asking?
why are you so damn slow?
Okay.
You guys told us you would be fast. Like, what happened?
They're your sponsors, essentially.
Yeah. So my main sponsor last year was Lamborghini Westlake. It was my hometown kind of connection. My dad went to high school with the guy that works at I think he manages the O'Gara there.
Right.
And he found some excuse to be like, hey, if you get this sponsorship deal, then you get like these many allocations for the new car that Lambo has. So at the time it was the Revuelto. And it was, I saw the numbers. It was literally a scratch. Like they literally made more money, but it would just take a little bit more time. And it was the perfect deal, and it worked out really nicely. So that kind of carried us through the first part of the year. But after Sebring, the disputes of, hey, you guys either need to find the money to pay them back, or get way faster and prove yourselves right. And so
Get good.
yeah, those are the two options: make money or get good. And I mean, that's racing, right? Like you're either good and you get a seat because you're good, or you're getting there and you pay your way to get there.
Sure.
You know, and it sucks because there's a lot of times where I don't want to say series, but some teams will prioritize the guy who pays, no matter how hard the guy who earned it has worked or has kind of proved himself on track. Like it's a lot of the times it's just we got to make the payments this year. Like there's bills to be paid.
Yeah.
Race teams don't have infinite budget, and the only way to get into a seat is with funding. And sometimes that does come from a team. Sometimes that does come from a scholarship or a sponsor. But a lot of times they're waiting for the AM driver to pay. And I actually had a cool conversation with Adam Adelson. He's a Wright Motorsports team owner. Currently drives their 120 car. I think he's the silver in there, or the bronze in their green and yellow Porsche 911, the GT3 one. A lot of numbers in that name. But he's an experienced driver. He's been driving for a while. And I was asking him, like, I said, I'm going to quote myself here. I said, now that we're in, like, the golden age of racing, like, it feels to me like it's coming back, like the F1 series on Netflix did numbers.
Yeah.
It brought people everywhere. Every year there's becoming, like, more and more people at Daytona 24. The Atlanta, what's the track? Atlanta.
Road Atlanta.
Road Atlanta. Yeah. Road
Petit
Atlanta.
Le Mans.
Exactly. Petit Le Mans.
Yeah.
That has never seen more people attending than last year, and the year before was the same story.
Right.
And we're just getting more and more kind of into the racing in the U.S. Like Manti. We now have 4 Manti cars in IMSA. We had 0 last year. Like there's a definite attraction to the U.S. racing, and there's a definite attraction to the current model of GT3 and even supporting races like the Miata or the Lambo. Like they're all worldwide. I don't know if the Miata and Mustang are, but the Lambo is worldwide.
Yeah.
And there's series worldwide that are more kind of invested in the racing life than the U.S. is. But I mean, dude, we're real close.
Yeah, and we're trying to tap into that with off the racing line.
Yeah.
Trying to get a little piece of that, the pie.
Yeah, I mean, but it's interesting because I was asking him, getting back to the Adam Adelson part, I said, yeah, it feels like we're in the golden age of racing. And he said, yeah, I mean, that's one way to look at it. But to me, the only thing keeping racing alive is the paying AM driver. And I said, I mean, what do you mean? He said, dude, half of IMSA is just the paying AM driver paying for the whole team. And, it's unfortunate because, yeah, the opportunity for a ladder to climb is diminishing, but at the same time, there's just less. I mean, I don't want to get political at all, but like Porsche stocks are down. They don't sell as many cars as they used to. I don't know if Ferrari's the same deal. I don't know if BMW's the same deal, but the car market is not on like the rise, and I don't think electric cars helped. And we're seeing that in racing. They took out, I think, one of their entries in the WEC, and they are like obviously not carrying a factory team into racing. Like they have Penske, which is factory supported like no other, but at the same time, it's not Porsche.
And
it is.
We poked fun at the rich people playing cosplaying, but you bring up a good point because several people did point this out very, very vividly on the comment section, and they pointed that out that if it wasn't because of that money coming in from the AM drivers,
there would be no racing.
It would be very difficult to have these series.
You know what? That's the thing though. If that did stop, the big series would be the MX-5 Cup, right? The big series would be, oh man, let's get like a ladder going from this MX-5 Spec Miata to all the way up to whatever the biggest car is. And I think that, there's definitely an attempt to try and bring that stuff back with the Mazda scholarship, where like
shootout.
Exactly, the shootout.
We've had two winners actually in the program.
And then if you win that, aren't you invited to the is that entry to the Hoosier Tour, or is that entry to the MX-5
Cup?
And if you win the MX-5 Cup, what did Jeremy Fletcher win last year? $250,000?
I don't know.
Oh, well, he won the championship, and I mean, I saw the gala or whatever, and I mean, he had a great speech. It was awesome. But I think you held up a giant check for $250,000.
Yeah, which a lot of that goes to the
Exactly.
to the team.
But with this new series called Zenith Racing Series, oh wow, it's a tongue twister. Zenith Racing Series. They offer a cash prize for endurance racing. Like it's pretty much a carbon copy of WRL, but there's now, instead of like championships and like I don't really know what the team gets from maybe free tires, I think.
Right.
But like instead of just rewarding the team, they're rewarding the drivers. The drivers of these winning championship teams get to split $150,000 cash prize straight to the drivers. That means that you and two other buddies are now $50,000 richer.
And as they should. I mean,
Right?
you know, you guys are the ones putting in the work.
I mean, of course, it's a team effort. Like,
Right.
the only reason that this helmet has so many friggin' stickers is because it takes a village. You know,
Yeah.
like if it was just me trying to get on track, I'd still be in my Miata, or sorry, I'd still be in my Mini Cooper. Right. But because it's been, sorry, let me fix that again. Whoopsies. Wait, how did we? Okay,
Do it.
there we go. But yeah, if it wasn't for, you know, me making connections with the, I don't want to say the right people to try and get people to like start social climbing, but it's really about being the nicest guy, having some speed, and being at the right place at the right time.
And being helpful.
And being
right?
helpful.
Yeah, that's what
Right?
we've gathered from a lot of our guests as well. It's just being at the right place. You never know who you might be coaching.
Exactly.
That guy might end up being your
Patrick Dempsey.
sponsor. Patrick
Right?
Dempsey.
Like,
Yeah, you
could
never
walk
know.
into a situation of where, hey, we need a coach. You get a call from like a random team owner. Hey, we need a coach for this weekend. I show up to a open throttle weekend, and boom, Tommy Kendall is driving an open throttle car. He's driven at COTA with him. Matt Farah drove at COTA, and Johnny Lieberman did. And I was part of that team.
Right.
You know, like it
I saw
was.
pictures of you with them.
We won that race actually. It was pretty cool.
I bet.
So that was like, it's just being available to race anytime, anywhere is top priority. And I mean, as you get, you know, more into the kind of bigger series, obviously you have commitments and you have racing coaching clients, but you really need to have that, you know, oh my gosh, this is the shot.
Yeah.
You need to be able to just pick up and go right there.
So you talked about, you know, it takes a village. And right now you're racing with TR3 Racing.
Yes, sir.
How crucial is it to have a solid team behind you to, you know, get you where you want to be?
I mean, really, this sport is about connections. You need to know the right people, and you need to be able to, you know, impress the right people. Otherwise, you know, you're just racing to impress your friends. And that's why, you know, I would even come to the Super Trofeo series, because it's a place to prove to the right people that you can do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you can win, you can be consistent, and you can be a great guy in the face of TVs, cameras, social media, crowds, everything. So it's a lot of you know, being a professional in the car, yeah, but also being a professional outside of the car, and you know, just there's a lot that, you know, goes unseen, but there's more that is, you know, subtle, that is noticed exponentially. You know, like the ability to you know, make this guy's day, and also, you know, kind of get him out of a rut. In the same situation, if you were his coach and he's a driver, if you can make him have a great day in the car and then also get him out of a rut in the car, you're the perfect coach.
Yeah.
And you're always going to have a client, because that guy, he's never been able to get convinced to stop hating himself, right? And like, that's the thing with racing. Like, if you mess up, like, it's so hard to get out of the, oh my gosh, how'd I mess that up? Because there's no, like, especially on the sim, you know, it teaches us, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. There's a button.
Yeah.
But like, once you get into the car and that button disappears.
We had a client with Velocity track experience, and I think it was his first race.
I dodged your question completely there.
It's okay. We'll get back to it.
We'll get back to it. They're very important.
He crashed his first race. He crashes the car, one of our cars, and you know, Jonathan and I are looking at the car. It's not a big deal. Like it's fixable.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at him. He was fine, but he looked like he had seen a ghost. He was like, he didn't want to come back to the racetrack. He was done. Like, and it shook him, you know, so badly. And regardless of how much John and I try to talk him, you know, like, hey, listen, you just got to get back in there. we'll fix the car. It's not a big deal, but you need to get back behind the wheel. Otherwise, that's going to haunt you, and you're never going to come back, But he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, there's I've been at the track when something like that happens to a teammate. It was another open throttle experience. We were at Charlotte, and it was kind of like a last-minute call, like, hey, yeah, pick up everything. And I was like, okay, cool. And it was one of those situations where I've never been to the track. I've tested there on the sim, like, maybe for an hour. And I show up, and, like, I got to be able to, figure it out.
Yeah.
So show up with 2 guys that are random teammates I've never met. One guy was Matt Goodrich. He's awesome, Matty Goody. And then the other one, I forgot his name, but I haven't seen him back in the paddock or in anything really. But we started practice 1. I was late. I was just flying in. And I felt kind of bad for being late, but at the same time, I was walking in late. I was like, man, I feel like a pro right now. Like, walking in fashionably late, like, it was cool.
A rock star.
Right? Like, I had my glasses on, everying.
Yeah.
I'm here. We can start now.
Exactly.
Hey.
But they had already finished practice.
Blowing.
That was when I had the long hair. It was great. Yeah, they had just finished practice 1. I waltz in with all my gear, and they're like, Tato, get into the car next. I was like, all right, cool. And then I jump into the car. It was a GP2. Is like my 3rd ever WRL race. It was a GP2 328i, I think. Still 5-speed. This was before they made the transition. And I jumped in the car, and I was like, man, the sim was way harder than this. And so I was like able to just rip it everywhere. I was practicing with a GT4 car on accident in the sim.
Yeah.
So it was just like everything was so much easier. And like it was just full throttle everywhere. So that was really nice. And then I ended up doing better than both of my teammates, and they've been like practicing for a little bit. So then for the first qualifying, they're like, hey, Tato, you jump into the car. And I was like, all right, great. And then you get 2 qualifying sessions. So I did the qualifying, and I got us into, I think, 2nd out of, like, I think 5 to maybe 7 cars. Like, GP2 has never been a great, huge field, but it's pretty competitive. I think, like, at the pointy end, it's, within the same 10th, but at the deep end, it's like, who knows?
Right.
But then for second qualifying, you get a second chance. The second driver gets to go in. We put in this kid that I forgot his name. I honestly forgot his name. And he gets into the car, and apparently he's like some big Spec Miata guy that's like really climbing the ranks fast. And he's really, really fast. And he gets into the car, and then like 2 laps later, we get a red flag, and we're like, oh, that sucks. Like we're not gonna see how fast he is till the race. And then he doesn't come into the pits, and we don't see him. And then they pull the tractor around, and he's like being carried on this thing.
Yeah.
And it was into the bus stop. He carried a lot of speed, and then once he got off the brakes, he never was like, I need the brakes again. Like, he just kind of went to the gas and stuck to it. But there's a little bit of a, so you know how at the oval tracks they have the apron?
Mm-hmm.
Right at the apron for Charlotte, there's a big bump, like shockingly big bump. And he came in with a little bit too much speed, and I guess his trail release was just too sharp for the bump. And the second he got off the brake and got to the power, it just went straight to the left, full speed into the wall, car was done. And so that's another situation of where that car is done. They tried their arses off to fix it.
Yeah.
And we even strapped it to a dyno and so the front left, I think, was just crushed. So the strut tower was like invisible or kind of camouflaged in all the wreckage. So they strapped the rear side or the rear toe strap to a dyno and the front left to a F250 Super Duty and ripped it. Like, they ripped all the ropes off they had. And so they gave it like 4 shots, and at the end of it, they're like, man, this thing's not getting fixed. So they had a backup car, and it was their GP1 car that they were just like kind of sleeping on, just waiting to see if something breaks on their current GP1 car to like give it parts. But nothing was breaking, and we needed a car because we needed track time. And right after the crash, the kid's dad came and talked to me. He was like, hey, what do you do in this situation? Like, what's the best thing that you could say to a kid that just kind of, made a mistake? And I was like, listen, man, the only thing that you can do is get back in the car. And like, it's going to take a little bit, and he's got to sleep on it because like the car's not going to be ready until tomorrow.
Yeah.
But the second he gets an opportunity, you got to jump at it.
Yeah.
You got to take it slow, find your bearings. It's a brand new car. Just first race is practice. I gave him that advice before finding out it was a 10-hour from one race. So, but
So did he get back in?
no, by the end of the night, he was gone.
Oh,
Him and the whole
man.
family was gone.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it sucks. It's a scary thing to, wreck a car, and if you don't really wreck it big, then you don't get to understand, oh my gosh, I'm actually so safe in this thing.
Yeah.
If you wreck it hard enough to like scare you, then that's where you really need to get back on the horse fast, because
Yeah.
the wrecks I've been in have been like, to me as an outsider coming in like 3 years ago to professional racing, I would have thought that guy in there would die.
Yeah.
But I was fine, not a scratch. Every single time there's been like a big crash,
Yeah.
not a scratch.
So that actually brings us to it's a nice segue to our next segment, which is crashes and fear.
Yep.
You're 22, racing a very expensive car. Does that revelation ever sneak in your mind as you're racing,
As I'm racing, no, never.
before or after?
Right after the crash at Sebring, oh yeah. What do you think it's been a while was for? I was like, it's been a while since I crashed.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was tough, and it's a real mental kind of fight to keep yourself in the game, because dude, it's scary. Like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
if I make one more of those mistakes, it could be the end of the year.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
like
the season.
Right. But if you make a mistake on track, you lose the race. So
Yeah.
now it's just, kind of elongating that racing mentality of no mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? And that means no mistakes in practice down, no mistakes in testing, no mistakes at my sim at home, no mistakes at work, no mistakes anywhere.
Sure.
And like, because I'm going to be kind of holding myself to that standard, I feel like this year will become more of that like crush coal season, right? Crush coal, you either find big old charcoal or you find a little diamond. So it's
Okay.
like, we got to find out what it's going to be. And
Yeah.
I feel like putting our heads down and, just sticking to our script is going to be that diamond that we're looking for. It's a year of great opportunity. The guy who's won the Super Trofeo Pro Championship, I think the most, is Danny Formal. He's currently not allowed in Pro because he's won it so much.
Really?
Yeah, and he's now the championship leader in Pro-Am. So
Imagine that.
15 points off of him, and if we can find a way to, honestly, I was thinking about it for most of the preseason, like, man, we just got to stay with him. But in practice 1 and 2, our average lap time of myself and my teammate was like a second faster than him and his teammate.
Wow.
Right? And so there's a lot of kind of thinking that will really hurt you in this sport,
Yeah.
and overthinking will really, really hurt you. And every time you try and overthink anything, it's like, if it's at home, if it's in the car, if it's at work, it hurts you.
The last thing you want to be thinking about is, wow, this is a really expensive car.
Right, exactly. And, I feel like the real big change for me was when my teammate kind of last year, Michael, had left the team. He said, listen, man, when we were out there, it was like, dude, they're hitting you it's pretty competitive. And like, when you're wheel-to-wheel racing with people in class, they're going to give you a rub, right? And there was, we had a conversation like, man, you're going to have to, put it all on the line. And like, you really got to take a risk out there. And he said that he was just not comfortable doing that. And that's kind of where we disagreed. But that was the conversation that was like, man, we either got to, do it or don't. And that was like the change from from hobby to business of, like, if this is a hobby, cool, have fun in a Miata. But like, if you want to make this real, if you want to make this your job, if you want to make this your life, you got to risk it.
Yeah.
Like, just like in, sorry.
So talking about, risking, I want to read something to you.
All right.
Get your take on this. All right.
Yours?
Regarding his daring overtake on Michael Schumacher, Fernando Alonso reportedly said, you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
I knew he would break.
You have a wife and kids at home.
He was a wife and 2 kids at home. Referring to the 2005 Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. Whether he actually said that or not, it's up to the internet to decide. There's a big controversy on that. But regardless of that, do you ever have thoughts like that when overtaking another driver?
No.
Like an older driver?
I mean, so we actually have a pretty well-aged, driver lineup in TR3. Our LB Cup driver, his name's Clay Wilson. He's, I think, in his 50s, maybe in his early 60s. And our AM driver, Dean Niels, he's 64. I think he just turned 65. And he is the most ripped dude you've ever seen. He makes me look like a string bean. Awesome.
Imagine
Very
that.
impressive. He actually owns AlgaCal, which is a very good supplements business. I don't want to say business, corporate company. And they really help out with like bone structure, bone density, bone stability. And he's the best ad for it,
Yeah.
Our owner races a Lamborghini Super Trofeo with a bunch of 20-year-olds and wins. Like, he just won in the AM class at Sebring in race 2. Very, very impressive.
Sounds like he'd be ideal for a sponsor for Off the Racing Line. Let's get some supplements in here.
But with
Oh, we're both old enough to use that, actually.
I mean, I might start using it. Looking like him, dude. Oh my gosh. But being able to be teammates with him and Clay kind of shows me how they think, right?
Yeah.
And they're not ever thinking, like, I gotta keep this guy behind me. It's like, I'm gonna try and play this strategically. And if you come in with grace and you come in with respect, then they're gonna treat you with respect on track. And there's a lot of ways to drive on track, and aggressively is of course important, and being the fastest one and waiting for no one is also important. But kind of knowing capabilities of fellow drivers is very important. And that's what an opening weekend is for, is kind of setting the tone, right?
Right.
And there's us in qualifying, or me in qualifying, that's not setting the tone. It's kind of showing them, hey, we're still kind of learning it, but that's not the message I want to send. The message I want to send is, hey, I know how this car works. I know the limit of the car, and I know how to get there fast, and I know how to get this thing done. So let's be serious here. Let's look at the top left corner, see who's a pro and who's not a pro, and let's allow the race to happen, right? And there's a couple incidents in my first stint where the AM class guys that I was trying to drive through were like, we have the exact same liveries on all 4 cars. So it's pretty confusing if there's 2 of the same car behind you. So I'm not sure if he thought I was an AM guy or a pro or a LB Cup guy, but there was just a lot of defense coming from this dude. So, there's always going to be that, like, you got to pull this out right now, where it's like you have to dive bomb this guy this second. You have to park it so he does not stay in front of you, or else your next 10 corners are going to be a second off.
Yeah.
So there's always that, like, you need to pass this now. And it's very situational. But I saw that a few times in my race at Sebring. Like, if there's a skill gap, you have to take advantage of it immediately. And if you wait or think about it, or try to be too respectful or try to be too aggressive, like, you immediately will start damaging cars or start hurting people, right? And that's neither of those won't get anything done except get you kind of out of the car faster.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do. Hey, listen, we're starting to run out of time, Mateo, and I want to...
you were right. That was so fast.
Yeah, we're not done yet. We're jumping into my favorite segment, which is the rapid fire question segment.
I'm ready.
So this is
Oh
what
my gosh.
we try to...
Not super ready, it seems.
Settle down.
Sorry.
Not break the equipment.
My bad. Breaking too much stuff recently.
So we're going to I'm going to shoot some questions your way, try to answer them quickly. So here we go. All-time favorite track?
Indy.
Indianapolis.
The road course.
Yep.
Okay. Favorite car you've driven?
Super Trofeo.
Right answer.
Yes.
What do you expect him to say, Miata? Yeah, stupid.
I mean, I've got a killer C5Z06 at home.
I was expecting maybe a Porsche,
Nah, the only Porsche I've driven is my Boxster, and that's a great car, but it's more
not a Super Trofeo.
No.
like, it teaches you a lot about the balance of the car and how to keep it under the limit.
Yeah.
But that limit is like down here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's not
It was
very
a
high
spec
up.
Boxster.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. Number 3. Be honest. Have you ever used the line, I am a pro driver, to pick up chicks?
Not yet. I'm planning on it for sure, though.
There you
for
go.
sure.
It's early. Right.
Yeah.
He is
He's going to have that same attitude when he walked in, all late with the hair flowing.
Yeah.
Exactly. That attitude comes on accident.
Yeah. All right.
I'll use it as an excuse. Let's say that.
Yeah. Did you know I'm a pro driver?
That's
You know
why I'm
who
so
you're
late. I
talking
was
to.
actually working on data.
Yeah. Sorry, I was late. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Number 4. What's scarier, getting blindsided by a linebacker as a wide receiver, or going side by side at 150
Linebacker.
into a break-in zone?
Linebacker.
Hence the hand breakage. Right.
Yeah.
God.
Dude, they're
What-
just brick walls.
What came more naturally, driving or
Driving.
being a wide receiver? Huh?
Driving. I mean, being a wide receiver, it made sense, but a lot of things still confuse me even at the higher level. But everything in racing makes so much sense. And like everything I now learn is like, oh my gosh, how did I not put a name to that earlier?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm getting out of my green to the sport phase, and like I'm 3 years into pro racing now, so it's 2.5 years into a pro series. So it's like, there's not a whole lot of stuff I don't know yet. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, there's a whole GT3 world I have to learn, and there's unknowns. But for the most part, I feel like there's all the things that I'm going to learn are just gonna just instantly click. You know, like if you're ever on it in a math class and a new subject comes that just explains everything in like the past 4 ways to learn a problem, we're all for nothing. That's kind of what finding new things out in the racing thing feels for me. You know, it's like I actually get it, I enjoy it, and
Good.
it's
Carlos doesn't know what that feels like. So.
in math.
In anything.
Oh,
Clueless. All right. I took 2 of my favorite questions and I combined them.
all right.
So you're the first person to get this combination.
Right,
So
right.
here we go.
I love that.
Final lap, you're P2. Sydney Sweeney
Oh, God.
is P1.
Wow.
Do you bump her for the win or let her take the checkered flag?
I mean, with her race experience, I don't think she'll be in front
Let's
of
say
me.
she was like,
Okay.
I mean, she's in
Real
P1
good.
for a reason.
Right. I don't know. I mean, are we talking like a...
We've had somebody that fully admitted that they would bump draft
Jesus.
Jesus before, so don't be afraid to
Sydney
don't be
Sweeney.
afraid to get her out of the way.
Here's my thing. I don't think that, you know, a bump in the wrong situation can give you a penalty. Like we saw at World Finals in the Super Trofeo, the number 6 car from the European Series bumped into the number 1 car from the North American Series, like real big bump. And then because of that incident, number 1 car was out of the race. Like I think it was a mechanical right front, and the number 6 car, no damage at all, and like they were still going last lap.
Okay, you're not going to get a penalty, but you get the win.
Big bump.
You bump her.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The only thing I'm worried about is not winning the race. That's,
You don't care how she feels about it later.
I mean, if we're in
It is Sydney Sweeney.
we're in a professional race car, you know I'm going to act like a professional, and a professional is going to find a way to win.
There you go.
And you're not going to make any mistakes.
Spoken like a true racer. All right, number 6. People don't realize racing is a team sport too.
Exactly.
You've got a crew, engineers, coaches,
Mm-hmm.
but once the visor goes down, it's all on you. How does that compare to football?
I mean, you rely much more on other people in football, especially as a receiver. You can do the best job possible, be wide open in the middle of the end zone, and then the quarterback just doesn't see you. In racing, it's much easier to make a mistake. It's much harder to get into that proverbial end zone. But, I mean, once you're there, like we've seen with Danny Formal, like it's once you're at the level that he's at, it feels like to the viewer, it looks like he's just walking through life, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he works harder than almost everyone on track. He's more dedicated than almost everyone on track. And he's someone that I look up to as like, hey, if you want to beat this guy, you got to do more than this guy, right?
Sure.
And it's just like in football, the guy who trains the most, the guy who never takes a winter off or a summer off, that's going to be the guy that makes it all the way.
There you
right?
go.
And it's...
All right, we
I
got to keep
talk
going.
about the team.
We
though.
got to keep going.
All right, talk about the TR3 though. We got to talk about it once.
Let's go.
right.
TR3.
TR3, the best team that I've ever honestly seen in the pro level. There's other people that have relationships with other teams, and there's people that have been with other teams and stayed with other teams and then been with other teams and left those other teams. But the only team I've ever seen retain the pro drivers they've kind of hosted, attract new drivers as well, and kind of take care of their own, like TR3. I've never seen it other than Open Throttle, but that's not the same level of series.
Sure.
But like, dude, the care that TR3 gives to the drivers, the feeling of family that I get just being at work every day with the team it's immeasurable. It gives me a reason to wake up in the morning every single day and be like, I gotta do this to be a part of this team.
TR3 is a solid team to race with.
Amazing team. If you want to have a fast car, you want to be a part of a family, and you want to have an opportunity to expand your racing experience and maybe even expand your career in the sport, TR3 is the way to go.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep going.
Yep,
Number
sorry.
7.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever kept a crash from someone you love?
My mom.
Wow, I didn't think you were going to come out.
Yeah.
It's the first rapid answer we've ever had to a rapid
Yep.
question.
I thought you were just going to give me a little wink.
Well,
wink,
she
like-
knows now.
Oh, she does?
Yeah.
Oh, we could have dove into that.
I know. Sorry.
All right. So you kept it from your mom
Yeah.
a little bit. All right.
Yeah,
You don't have
so-
time to go into it, though.
Okay. Fine.
All right. Number 8. Football is controlled violence. Racing is controlled chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Which one feels more dangerous?
Football.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of like just abundant and kind of accidental trauma and injury in football, where in racing something has to go catastrophically wrong for one person to get hurt.
And you got layers of protection
Cage,
around you.
helmet, fire suit, everything. Like
Yeah.
it's so much keeping you alive that it's got to take a a real skill to find a way to die in these things now. It's a bad thing to
I was
say
just
on
gonna
air.
say.
Yeah.
That's
All right, number 9.
Horrible thing to say.
Push it.
Don't push it.
We got a little bit of time.
All right.
Number 9. What's the one thing that could actually make you walk away from racing?
Family issues. If my mom says no more, if my dad says no more, if there's an issue with like if a family member has like, hey, I'm about to be on the street, I need some help. Like
Yeah.
it's, of course, racing is my top priority in life right now, but at the same time, you know, family first always.
There are more important things.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I feel like there's an art to being selfless, and being selfless outside of the car and being a little bit selfless inside of the car really helps. I mean, this is a selfish way to be selfless, but it helps you in the long run,
Sure.
you know?
All right. Last question. In terms of racing, are you an East Coast or West Coast gangster?
Great question. This one's not going to be rapid. Probably West Coast. I'm very Snoop Dogg in the car. Like, it's very relaxed. I'm going to be the nicest guy inside and out the car, but like, do not try and reach for my gun in a club, aka try and bump me on turn 1 into Sebring. I'm going to shoot that gun, and it's going to be awesome. But like, I'll write a song about it after.
There you go.
You know?
West Coast gangster all
West
the way.
Coast gangster.
Got it. All right. That's it for the rapid fire. We're going to move on to the guest challenge.
Guest challenge.
You are familiar with this format.
Familiar with this format.
You have a chance to challenge 2 of your friends to come on the podcast. So look straight into your camera. I believe it's that one, and fire away.
Elias De La Torre, the 4th. He needs to get on here. He's got to.
All
His
right.
media training needs some help. But
Wow. Way to call him out at the
Right?
same time.
Yeah.
Goodness.
He doesn't even post anything on Instagram. Like, he's
Oh.
great. He's our current fastest guy at TR3.
How old is he?
I think he's 20 now.
He's not on Instagram.
Right?
Wow.
We can help. We can help.
I agree. I think you
I'm
guys
north
can-
of 50, and every once in a while I get that right.
All right.
Yeah, no, he posts sometimes, and it's really cool when he does post because it's like that aura farming post.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, dude, we got to get a weekend recap.
Yeah, man. Let's get
I
him
mean,
on here.
I asked him about it. We were golfing yesterday, and I was like, hey, why don't you like care about videos and like Instagram or social media or anything? He's like, I mean, my results speak for themselves. And I was like, all right, fair.
You got to sell
But-
yourself, though.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much more than just being in the car. You know, being outside of the car, being able to be, you know, marketable, profitable, and, you know, speak the right language to the business realm of racing.
And have a pretty face.
Have
that
a pretty
helps.
face. Look like you, Carlos.
Thank you.
Of course.
Oh.
And
What
Mike,
was-
I mean,
come on now.
Don't leave him
that
hanging.
felt a little
Yeah.
disingenuous.
What do you mean?
Over there, it did.
No,
What's the second
this was
guy?
real, though.
What's the second? Yeah.
Second
What's the second guy?
What's happening?
I'm
Get
kidding.
the hell out of here. Go back to California already.
All right. What's the second guest challenge?
Do I have to do a driver for this one?
No.
No.
Brake Boost Bill, Sam Morgan, get on this podcast.
What does he do?
He's our chief mechanic at Tier 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't think we've had a chief mechanic.
Oh, Rennie.
that'd be a question because he's a.
He's a racer, though.
He has the skill of an FD driver. He has currently an exploded M2 that has like 900 horsepower when it's not exploded.
Okay.
And it is a ripper and a half. It's awesome to see.
All right.
He's literally in Davie, not a far drive.
All right. Well, there you go.
He's
So
a super cool guy.
there you have it, guys. The challenge has been laid down by Mateo. If you're interested in coming on the podcast, I don't even know where to look. Anywhere. There.
it is.
Okay.
Tell 'em.
If you're interested in coming on the podcast, simply go to offtheracinglion.com, fill out the form, let us know when you want to come in, and we will make that happen. And man, it's been awesome talking to you. I'm glad that
Pleasure's
we finally had a
online.
chance to chat, and we're going to be looking for your name going up the ranks of
Hell
the
yeah.
Lamborghini Super Trofeo series.
That's it.
Until next time, everything interesting happens off the racing line. See you guys next time.
That's great.
Yeah, everything interesting.